All right, we are now live. This is Aaron Price, the CEO of TechUnited, and this is our very first member AMA, where I'm going to be interviewing members of the TechUnited community to get a better sense of their businesses, how they got there, and how other members can connect with them. So today I'm really psyched to have Andrew and Mike of TierPoint. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey.
Good, how are you?
Great.
I'm going to start with you, Mike. Where are you geographically based right now?
I'm in lovely Monmouth County, New Jersey, in Freehold.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah.
And I am in Jersey City.
Nice. I'm in Hoboken, so I'm not too far away.
Perfect.
And for anyone watching as we go, if you have questions, drop them in the chat, and we'll try to weave them into the conversation. Let's start with, for people who have zero idea, what is TierPoint?
Yeah, so we are a national provider of hybrid IT services. So we own and operate 42 data centers across the country, and we help companies evaluate their cloud strategy and really weave in how do they leverage cloud inside of what they're doing with their traditional workloads and their traditional systems that they may or may not still house on site, depending on the company.
So I think that, generally IT firms have gotten bundled, especially for those who don't know how this all works. How does TierPoint differentiate, and what does that really mean about bringing people into the cloud and bringing their data centers offsite? Like, I want to get into a little more details about this.
Sure. So our motto is we meet you where you are. And it is really amazing how many times we put together a solution for a customer where we're really weaving in what they have. It's not I think some companies have tried to go 100% cloud, and that hasn't always worked as effectively as they thought. So really helping a company find out what is cloud ready, what's not cloud ready, and really how do you make it all work together, right? Because if you don't do it properly, you're going to have a negative impact on your users, your customers, your employees, and not to mention cost, right? If you don't do it right, then your cloud experience could cost you a lot more than you expected. And maybe as important or more importantly, it's not going to work the way it's right in the middle. All cloud, we're not all customer owned equipment. Really make it all work together. And again, to bring it back to that, we meet, figure out as they're looking to go, what they want to continue to use that's working for them, and what they want to move into more of a cloud model.
I'm Andrew, maybe you could just help me on the technical check. I lost Mike in a few sentences there. Was that just me, or did you lose him a little as well?
I lost him a little bit there too.
Okay, good. So I'm going to turn to you to fill in the gaps. Mike, I'm sure we'll make this work. But
yeah,
give me an idea of who the target customer is, and
Sure.
when do they come to you when they say, I have this problem with X?
So a lot of the times we tend to help a lot of medium-sized companies, those who have either just started to migrate to the cloud, or maybe they haven't even started at all and they don't know where to begin with, or maybe they have a bit more of a complex cloud architecture and they're looking to grow a little bit even further. So it just really depends. What makes us really unique as a data center and managed service provider is that we do both of those different things. There are data center providers that are out there that just do co-location. We do co-location with our vast data center footprint, which goes across the United States, but we also offer a disaster recovery solution and, of course, private clouds. And then there's a whole bunch of ancillary services, including professional services, which is that migration support, as well as security services that we offer too. So there's not really a lot of data center companies that do what we do, where we kind of straddle both worlds. And so that enables us to be able to help those companies along their path to digital transformation a lot easier versus having to partner out to several different companies. It's always going to be inevitable. There's not really one company that does everything. Like everyone says they want to be a one-stop shop. But that's something that's unique about TierPoint, is that we do straddle two major worlds for IT infrastructure that enable us to do some things that some of our other competitors just simply cannot do. So that's what really makes us really interesting. And one of the things that we do a lot of right now is that consultative work, where we sit down with IT leaders and we get a good understanding of where are they on their path. Again, are they really advanced? Are they not so advanced? It just really depends. The kinds of companies that we help are healthcare, government, financial. It could even be retail. Manufacturing is another big group that we help, and a lot of SaaS providers, technology-based companies that are leveraging the cloud. We have a lot of those types of companies that are in our portfolio as well.
Are you saying that there are SaaS companies that don't start? Because I would think by definition, they're starting in the cloud. And you're saying that's not the case?
There are, I mean, so a lot of them do start into the cloud actually with either AWS or with Azure or some sort of multi-cloud approach. But as they grow, sometimes it becomes a little bit more complex for their environments. And so things are not always just cut and dry. Sometimes they have to start looking at a disaster recovery solution. Sometimes they have elements of their data that require a private cloud. So yeah, that happens in this, what we call a hybrid cloud continuum, where it just depends as they grow, where do they need to go next? And sometimes just living forever at Amazon doesn't make sense. So that's where we come into play, where we really enable a true hybrid cloud. So we tend to see a lot of that with SaaS providers. I don't know, Mike, do you see other things with SaaS companies?
Yeah, I mean, so
Andrew, I got nothing for Mike. How about you?
No, we lost him again.
Mike, if you want to refresh, I'll bring you back into the stream here, and maybe just a redo will make this work. But nothing like two technology companies coming together and having technical difficulties.
That's all right. We're still here.
We're still here. So tell me, how did you get involved with TierPoint?
Yeah, I got involved with TierPoint a couple of years ago. I used to work at a company called TechUnited, which was New York City based and was acquired by Digital Realty, which is now one of the largest data center providers in the world. Again, they're focusing mainly on co-location and hyperscale for really large providers like LinkedIn, for example, where they're going to put some of their infrastructure. Whereas TierPoint really specializes in helping those firms that are a little bit what we call closer to the edge. So we have data centers that are not necessarily in major cities. They're in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities across the United States. So we really enable that connectivity a little bit closer to end users outside of major cities. Although we do have data centers in some major cities too, like Chicago, for example. The nearest data center here is in Hawthorne, so that's right by Westchester. And then Pennsylvania, we have data centers going all the way down to Jacksonville. So we're pretty well connected, and then up to Boston. So the whole Eastern Seaboard, we have quite a few connections.
Are you saying, Andrew, that a lot of the bigger companies focus on those like top tier major markets? They have lots of infrastructure around those markets, and the secondary markets get ignored? Is that what's sort of embedded in that comment?
Sometimes, yes, but also a lot of larger companies. We do actually have quite a few larger companies that leverage us too. It just really depends on their infrastructure and what makes the most sense for what they're doing with their data. Many times, some of those really large companies have their own data center buildings. And so that's what we call hyperscale. And so sometimes those companies help them with just taking over that building or actually building a new building for them. Medium-sized companies probably don't have their own data center building that they're managing, or maybe they have a really expanded closet in their company where it's the IT closet. Those are great customers for us because they are migrating out of that IT closet and into the year 2020, where you can go ahead and leverage cloud connectivity as well as disaster recovery solutions that are available. But again, some of those larger companies do come to us too. It just depends because there could be a multitude of different things that they're doing with their data. It could be a unit within a bigger company as well that might be leveraging us.
Mike, how you doing over there? We got Mike's back. Does Mike have a mic?
Hope you guys can hear me. Can you hear me?
So far, so good.
Yes.
Yeah. I know. So someone said this to me not long ago. Cloud is not a place. Cloud's an operating model, right? So cloud is, I don't own the infrastructure. I'm leveraging infrastructure to run my business. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's Amazon or Azure or Google. Those are certainly clouds. But where we come in, especially, post-COVID or in COVID, where companies, they need to refresh their hardware. They don't want to spend millions of dollars buying it. They don't want to have to send their personnel to a data center, whether it's in their office or some co-location facility to manage the equipment. They want us to turn that from a Capex into an Opex, and then we take the responsibility for that hardware. So it's a financial concern, right? Holding on to cash and going with an Opex model, but it's also an operating efficiency, right? The IT staff wants to focus on end user experience, developing applications. They don't want to have to worry about replacing a hard drive in the middle of the night. So where we can partner with the traditional, we work with Dell, we work with NetApp, we work with VMware. It's all the same technology that these companies are used to. They've just turned it from a Capex.
We lost you right at the end there, but I got 95% of it, so we're still pretty good. How did you, Mike, get involved with TierPoint?
So I am here by way of acquisition. So I was the regional sales leader for a small division of a large telecommunications company called Windstream. That's actually how I found what used to be known as the New Jersey Tech Council. I originally was a member through that organization. So I remember the first time I met our CEO, Jerry Kent. Jerry is one of the original founders of Charter Cable. He was part of the group that sold it to Paul Allen from Microsoft in the late 90s. I remember sitting across the table from Jerry, and TierPoint had been courting me to come over as a regional leader inside the company. I turned to Jerry and said, if you guys wanted me to come over to TierPoint that bad, you could have got me for a lot less than $600 million. And I'm cheap, but you could have definitely got me for less than that. And Jerry looked and said, darn it, you're wasting money. Yeah, I've been here for, I guess, 7-8 years now.
Yeah.
A little over 8 years. The name on the door has changed. I've had a couple of different roles in the organization. Right now, my focus is really on strategic opportunities where I work directly with, Dell, VMware, NetApp, delivering solutions because they're seeing the big switch, right? They're seeing customers that are saying, I'm not buying that hardware next year. I want to go with some type of cloud model. And we can really partner with those companies to deliver a cloud solution to the customer, that traditional hardware that they're used to.
I got to tell you, maybe I'm pleading or showing some ignorance here, but why is anyone considering a hardware solution in 2020 as a starting point?
It's amazing. We still talk to customers that in some cases they've invested in an internal data center, 20-year asset or 20 depreciation. If you look at the sales numbers, hardware companies, they are still selling. I mean, new companies like Pure Storage, to rise. I mean, so companies do still buy hardware and put it in big colo centers. But again, it's that, the companies that want a little bit of both worlds, those are the ones that we really do the best on.
So let's talk specifics here. I want to make sure that for members who are considering a switch or thinking of a TierPoint solution, we've talked about some use cases, but what size should they be? When I started at the New Jersey Tech Council, we had that hardware closet, which I'm thrilled to say we've gotten rid of.
Yeah.
But we were we're a relatively small shop. I don't know that we needed a TierPoint type solution. What's the right profile of a company that should give you a call?
Yeah, so usually I like to say 250 to 5,000 employees. It's a big sweet spot. We have customers, like I always use this example. I have customers that may only be 100 employees, but a big part of their business is based on the web, right? It's a portal, it's some software they deliver. So companies can be smaller if they have a big focus on technology. It really just depends on where they are in their evaluation and what they've started with, right? If they've already gone down a cloud road, they've already gone down an Amazon or an Azure, it might be hard to back up. But there are reports, we do see companies that they went 100%, to one of those major cloud solutions, and they realize that they don't need that infinite scalability. If your business is pretty stable and you don't need, you're not retail, you don't need to go from supporting 100 users to supporting 10,000 users in a minute, then you may not need the benefits of some of those larger cloud solutions.
Yeah. Andrew, how's switching gears a little bit? How's the pandemic affected you personally and the business?
It's been really interesting for everyone. It's been trying, but it's been very weird. Of course, as you know, being in the tri-state area, and definitely Mike being in New Jersey, where we were really in that first wave of fear and a lot of change happening really quickly. And it seems like we've had to adapt to that and to live in that world while watching the rest of the United States and other parts of the world catch up or experience a nuance of what's taken place. So I think, I'm sick of being in my house, but at the same time, I've found ways to make it work to get out of my house in a safe way and still keep my sanity. I do have a Peloton bike, and it just so happens that we're giving away one of those Peloton bikes for IT Appreciation Day, which is
what a lovely transition that was. I'm really impressed. Keep going. Giving away a Peloton bike.
Yeah, I'm in marketing. Can you tell? We have an event that's coming up this week. It's called Brave IT. And so it's our annual event that celebrates and educates IT leaders. And we are giving away a Peloton bike to mark tomorrow, which is IT Appreciation Day. It's IT. It's actually been around for a few years, and I didn't even realize it when we created our Brave IT event. And it was like a few weeks ago, we realized that IT Professionals Appreciation Day was on the eve of our own event. And so since I've been enjoying my Peloton bike, and I know others have, because they can't necessarily go to gyms and everything like that, it's a great gift to be able to give people so that they can keep fit. There's all sorts of different crazy things that you can do right now to try to keep fit without having to expose yourselves to any danger. So that's what we're excited about for this week is our event, Brave IT.
And where can people who are interested in registering learn more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to TierPoint.com, and right on our homepage, you can go ahead and find a link there, or you can go to braveit.tierpoint.com and you can register there. And I'm sure if you mention Mike Dietz's name in the referral section, he will be very thrilled about that, because we also have a little side bet going on internally with some of our people that are helping to promote the event, that they cannot beat Mike Dietz, because last year he brought so many people to the Intrepid last year. Yes, mention Mike Dietz. Last year we had the event on the Intrepid, and this year we were going to do it again, but of course COVID stopped that. So it's a big thing that helped to really change our lives, is not to be able to have this great event in person, but now it's virtual. And we definitely want you to go and check it out, and bring your family too, because we're doing a couple of different things that are more interactive. Like tomorrow, on Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern, Top Chef fan favorite Fabio Viviani is going to be cooking up some Italian food. And then on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, we have Digital Deception. These are two magicians who are going to dazzle you. And I don't know what they're going to do to your computer, but some of our security guys are probably not going to be happy that we're working with them, but that's all right. It's going to be really, really interesting nonetheless. And then throughout the rest of the days on Wednesday and Thursday, we have some conversations that we'll be talking about the pivot due to COVID-19. So IT leaders who aren't sure what to do, or maybe they've done something, they want to hear what their peers have done. We got a couple sessions about that. We've got sessions about AI. We've got sessions about security. We've got sessions about multi-cloud. So you'll be able to hear right from our partners like Dell, Nutanix, and VMware. What does that mean in this new world with multi-cloud and migrating to the cloud, especially during these times? But there's a whole bunch of other things that we've got planned, including Tom Gruber, who helped create Siri. So your phone here, right? So he's going to be talking about AI and the intersection with that and humanity. And then Dan Doctoroff will be our closing keynote. He is the CEO of Sidewalk Labs, which is an Alphabet company. So he's going to be talking a little bit about what smart cities mean in this current day. In fact, the person who moderated it said smart cities. He was like, no, not smart cities. So you're going to have to take a look and see what he meant by that on Thursday.
Very interesting. And I'm curious to see how cities unfold in general now that we're seeing a bit of an exodus from cities, and what that means for the tech industry.
Yeah, and Dan definitely has a take on that. And he actually, what's interesting about him is that he was one of the leaders was part of Bloomberg actually, and was there to help rebuild lower downtown Manhattan after 9/11. He was instrumental in helping that come back to life. And so he has a definite opinion about what New York needs to do now in this post-COVID-19 world.
You know, I think there's an interesting opportunity for New Jersey to own a big part of that solution, especially if companies are thinking about, a bigger footprint for corporate office space, talent.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the New York talent is now situated because we live in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Several thousand Google employees live in New Jersey. So in effect, Google now has a massive New Jersey office. Right. I think that's happening in a variety of industries. Yeah. Mike, we're going to come back to that, but how's the pandemic affected you and the business?
So business-wise, I mean, look, part of our business, and certainly we're not the the equivalent of an ambulance station, but I mean, we help companies leverage technology to deliver services to their customers, to deliver services to their employees. So while we do have certain clients that their retail, they've been dramatically impacted, and we have to try to help them work through this. Again, another good case for Capex versus Opex, right? If you've spent several $1,000,000 on hardware, that money's gone. If you spent something in an operational model, you can work with your supplier and maybe do some, deferrals or things like that to help conserve capital. But a lot of our customers, and we're seeing them grow. One in particular, who's a member who I am allowed to speak about, who's also a big participant in TechUnited, is Cross River Bank, right? They've been a great customer of ours, of mine specifically, for many years. In fact, the one session on the big pivot, how to work in a world post COVID, is Cross River's very own Phil Goldferrer, who's going to be speaking on one of our panels, right? So some of our customers, it's just they've been in high growth mode through this, from our perspective, because they need more technology, they need more security. Personally, we were talking about this the other day. I was out with a friend or at a friend's house locally. It's never nice to go through this, right? But it was good to have space, be able to go out in the pool. So it's been good from that perspective. One interesting thing was that on around March 1st, we started a major and ripped out my kitchen. So throughout the first 3 months of the pandemic, we were living in the basement and eating a lot of takeout.
Wow. Is it finished?
Yeah, it's finished now. Yeah.
Nice. That's good.
It was.
Hopefully you're out of the basement.
There were holes everywhere, and construction workers coming in and out every day and going, what the heck did I do?
Has this changed your thinking about where you want to live in general?
Me personally?
Yeah, I'll go to you. I'm going to ask both of you. Andrew and I are both in more urban environments, so it's definitely changed my thinking. But how about you?
We're very, very happy where we are. We're great friends. We were able to isolate kind of in the neighborhood, so we were having backyard get-together, small get-togethers. But even early on, we were able to go sit out in a backyard living room, if you will, sit out by a fire pit. People have TVs and stuff out there, so we were able to have some social interaction. So we're happy. We're staying. We're good.
That's good. What about you, Andrew? You sticking around Jersey City?
I am. I thought about it for a bit about leaving. I definitely saw some neighbors, some friends of friends have left. There were a couple of deaths in my family, and there were deaths in our community. So I think that really hit home, especially for New York and New Jersey early on, where we've had to think about that. It's inevitable. At least someone knows someone who has either gotten sick or suffered some complications, maybe even death. So it's definitely made you think about living in an urban environment or a place that's so densely populated, and if you want to continue to do that. But I moved here from Denver, Colorado when I was 22 for a reason. It's the culture, it's the people. I love it here, and I'm definitely not going to leave. Walking around, seeing some of these great restaurants that are around, and seeing the community come to life. It's not something that I'm willing to leave, and I want to have a secure foot here. The one thing I will say is actually I was trying to do a deck in my backyard. I have a house in Jersey City, so that helps as well to be able to not be too small of a space, but I can't find any supplies for that deck because they run out. So there isn't any more Trex or anything that's like Trex that's available. So there's definitely been some crazy things like that. I mean, yes, I'm privileged enough to be able to complain about not having deck materials, but yeah, it's impacted everything. We're just rolling with the punches, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And just have to have faith that things are going to come together over time.
Yeah, sorry to hear about how it's affected the family. It's definitely a crazy time, and one way or another, obviously, it's affected everyone, but some significantly more than others. Culturally, how is TierPoint adjusted, work style? For us, we're using Slack constantly, which I think has helped us feel connected. And some larger organizations, I just think culturally aren't as set up for online working. I'm sitting in my backyard. I'm also privileged to have a little space here. It's worked well. although it's windier than I was hoping, so that might be a little bit of a problem. But how have you, and we've done some of the things you're talking about. We tried, creative sessions, and we did a trivia and some happy hours. And
Yeah.
I think for us, it's been a pretty strong net positive, purely on the business side.
Yeah.
I'm curious how it's gone for TierPoint.
Very well. In fact, because we are dispersed across the United States as it is with our data centers, we kind of have two headquarters. One's in St. Louis and the other one's in Raleigh, North Carolina. And then we have pockets all over the place. So we were already kind of dispersed. But what was interesting when it happened is it really activated people to come together and connect. And not only just in our company, we saw that in the greater space, which might be part of the reason why we're seeing so many different changes going on in the world right now with a number of things. And so it was interesting to see people kind of back away from some of any BS that they were holding on to and just reaching out to one another. And we really saw a great relationship, especially like in our little microcosm. Mike and I are in sales and marketing, and we were already working close together, but it was further enhanced as a result of that. So I know that we saw that across the organization. We leverage Teams, so we are definitely a Microsoft shop, and we've seen that increase dramatically. That came in at the right time where people are starting to talk with one another. And I think it's going to be a slow and steady thing. We were doing some happy hours and things like that too in different teams, but I don't know. Again, it's just going to depend, and we're going to have to figure out a way to stay connected with one another in a way that's going to be fruitful. And I think, we just heard the news from Fauci that, oh yeah, this is probably going to be going on until the end of 2021. Wow. So what do we do as a result of that? And I think that's just been the thing that our organization has had to deal with and rolling with the punches is, number one, let's make sure that our customers and our employees are okay. So when they come into our data centers, that they feel safe, and that our employees, when they're home, that they're well taken care of. Because we also have like someone who works on my team right now had to pull her kid out of school because someone at that school has COVID. So now there's two kids at home, and working full time, and it's a lot. So we have to really be empathetic. And I think that our company's done a really good job of doing everything that they possibly can to make sure everyone feels comfortable, and knowing that this eventually is going to evolve into something that's better. Yeah.
Mike, how about you? Any tips you'd give for companies of ways that stay connected, drive company culture, accommodate? I mean, I'm sitting outside because I'm trying to hold on to the last days of summer.
Yeah.
But I also have two kids inside with remote school that I thought would be in the way. So
yeah,
the whole new world we're living in here.
It is. Yeah. And I actually, my daughter is now home for 2 days because they've already had a case of COVID, and we had her going in 4 days a week. So she's now home for 2 days because they contact traced it, and she didn't come in contact. So her group is only home for 2 days, but the other group, the other cohort, is home for 2 weeks. So we're already seeing that in my area. Yeah, I think the company's done a great job of being accommodating. Listen, some tasks that have to be done are time sensitive, right? When it comes to supporting customers, I mean, I won't say the level of hero that we see in healthcare, right? Those are true heroes that go into work every day. But we've got some very heroic people that work here that have accommodated different shifts, making sure that our people are there. Knock on wood, I've never had any issue where a customer wasn't able to get serviced or taken care of because of what we're going through. Our data center managers, our professional services teams, they've done an amazing job of doing, various shifts, and they spread out the workload a little bit more so that some tasks are being done in the middle of the night if they're not, if they don't need to be done during the day. I think, our chief revenue officer has started doing a lot more full team calls. So we used to get together like once a month. Now we get together, every other week, sometimes once a week. Even locally, when this first started, I started a New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania happy hour, right? Just because we were so stuck, right? We couldn't go anywhere, and we just needed to see people, right? Just be able to have some camaraderie. So I think we've done a great job as a company. I think the marketing team, not just because Andrew's here, we've come up with some phenomenal events for our customers. Again, not just, Brave IT is obviously the big one, right? That's the equivalent of your Propelify, right? But even little ones. We've done kickboxing, we've done food events, we've had multiple chef events, we've had great interactive sessions with our leaders, with our customers. So I think overall, we've done a great job, not only of running the business, but trying to keep everyone connected and keep connected to our customers and to our business partners.
That's great. I mean, we'll wrap up shortly, but last question for both of you, which is, how's your experience been with TechUnited, and what can this community do to help you either personally or professionally? I'll start with you, Andrew.
Okay, sure. So I actually went to the first Propelify event way back in the day. We actually, with the company I was with, exhibited, and it was a really cool thing to be able to see that side. And then NJ Tech, which was a separate organization at the time, was kind of a different way of looking at tech. It was almost like it was older tech in a way, or bigger tech, but not necessarily startup tech, or really the spirit of what Propelify was trying to do. So seeing those two worlds come together, it's been interesting. You know, I live in Jersey, and so I'm always want to be connected to a tech organization, and seeing that's come to life over the years into this new thing, which really connects all of tech in New Jersey, has been really exciting to see. So yeah, I'm definitely happy to be involved in any shape and form that we can, because I really believe we are in tech. So I definitely have to support New Jersey tech as I live here. So I want to see it thrive and do anything that we possibly can to make it work. So yeah, I've always had an eye on it, and I always will.
Good. Well, we want to know what more we can be doing. You left off the most important part of the question, which is, what can our community, if someone's watching this thinking, I want to, you know, in the way you've heard me talk about this before at Propelify, the culture of the community is, you know, offer to help first, and then, you know, eventually you find out what's in it for you. For someone who's watching this, who's thinking, oh, that's cool, you're looking for intros to potential clients, you're looking for deals on Peloton bikes, you need decking for your for your floor, like what do you need help with?
Yeah, I think having stuff like this and being able to get to know more about the community versus waiting for Propelify and then going to see everyone, or waiting for an event. More of these profiles, more communication is going to be helpful, because there's a lot that's going on in New Jersey from a technical standpoint. As you mentioned, there's a lot of Google employees. I actually used to work at Audible for a hot minute, and there's a lot of people there, both that live in New Jersey and outside of New Jersey. But there's a lot of people here in New Jersey that are doing something in the tech world, and so I think it's really, really important to be able to understand who those people are, who those organizations are that are really fueling tech in this particular corridor. So I think more of that is always a good thing.
You got it. It's a challenging thing for us, but because there's so many programs and profiles of member companies, but it's good to hear, and hopefully you'll see more and more of that. Obviously, we do a bunch of that now, but you'll see more and more, and suggestions are always welcome. Mike, how's your experience been, and what can we do for you?
So, I did my my spotlight with United, and that was my big commercial on why I love the tech community in New Jersey and why I love TechUnited. So I won't redo my whole interview, but you know, for one, I love what you've done, Aaron, in bringing in some of these huge organizations like PSE&G and Hack Meridian, and on the financial side, my buddies over at Cross River Bank, to really drive those three big sectors, which are huge in New Jersey. I think, you know, going out and bringing in those kind of titans of industry, if you will, and then putting them in touch with, you know, the startups and the companies that are in those fields, trying to make waves and make changes and build better, smarter cities and better technology and healthcare and finance. So I love the way TechUnited really brings all of that together. What you just said before about, you know, help first and kind of figure out, I don't remember exactly how you stated it. I might need to get that quote from you after this interview, but you know, help first, right? How can we help somebody? There's a question, somebody wants to know about technology. It doesn't have to be, hey, here's an opportunity, we're looking for cloud, right? Something that I said, something Andrew said, somebody wants to reach out and say, hey, let me pick your brain on this or that. You know, it comes around, right? We're all part of this community. What's good for the community is good, in my opinion, is good for everybody. And being a New Jersey native and you know, watching companies leave this area and relocate to other places, watching kids leave for college and not come back. I mean, you know, I don't like to see that. And I think we have a tremendous opportunity. I think to the point that was made before, we have so many companies that are now, their employees are here. They're looking to potentially move here. I think there's going to be another technology boom in New Jersey over the coming years. And I think TechUnited is at the center of that, really bringing that community together. Not just, hey, I want to buy something from TierPoint, but how do we collaborate? How do we bring resources, and how do we help one another?
Sorry, I may have figured out your technical problem. I have a hard mute button on my mic, and I have a feeling that when I wasn't muted, it was the StreamYard was struggling with your mic. So anyway, I apologize for that. But I appreciate the commentary, and that's very much our goal. We've recently re-envisioned our mission and what we stand for, and it's really about to build a better future for all. And even, we're talking about maybe not the sexiest thing in IT infrastructure, but it's enablement of people to run their businesses. And if they don't have to think about that hard drive going out at 2 a.m, turns out that's a kind of a very big deal, right?
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure we're surrounding people and organizations with the resources that they need to thrive. And TierPoint is one of those organizations. So I really appreciate you both being here today. For those who are interested, check out braveit.tierpoint.com or just tierpoint.com, but make sure you mention Mike so he can win whatever bet he's got going. Andrew, either I zoned out for a minute or you didn't mention, how do people win the Peloton?
You just got to register.
Just register. It's a raffle.
Well, it is a raffle. You do have to show up on day 2. That's the opening remarks for day 2, right around 11 or so. It's right on the agenda, and that is where you will find out who won the Peloton bike. So yeah, you have to register 1, and then 2, you do need to be there in person to get the bike.
That's a good move. I like that move. We should try some of the live giveaways for Propelify. That's a good idea. We might steal.
Do it.
Clarification, I have to say, this little contest we have going on, it is literally called the Beat Mike Dietz contest. Winner gets a trophy with my face on it, and it says, "I beat this guy."
That's super awesome. I love that. That's very cool. So beat Mike Dietz, win a Peloton. It's not the worst.
Apparently,
there you go.
How bad? Do it from your house. It could be worse.
Do it for New Jersey.
Do it for New Jersey. Not for your house, from your house, but also for New Jersey. Yeah. Hey guys, we'll have go ahead, Mike.
I should say, like you, we look forward to doing our big event in person next year, but I think we've all made a big pivot. Certainly marketers, right? Folks like Andrew and yourself that have to figure out a way to make these events great. And I'll say for both, not just for our event, but even, we're gonna be one of the sponsors at Propelify. I mean, really bringing in great, valuable content. When I've told people, oh, hey, we have this event, or I'm promoting Brave IT or Propelify, and I've had some people say, I've had enough virtual events, so I don't want to do another. And when I show them the agenda, we show them the speakers, the quality of content we're bringing, people go, oh, okay. All right, Mike. Okay. All right. This isn't just another event where you hold up a drink and do a virtual clink. This is a real valuable content event. So, so to you and to Andrew that have put this together.
I appreciate that. It's definitely, I think we're in an area of a bit of Zoom fatigue, and it's challenging to get people to engage. We also are focused on high quality content and some interesting experiences, but it's a challenging time for that kind of thing. And capturing attention is difficult. But I think there's also opportunity there because all of us are kind of upping our game. And how do we make this the most interesting and compelling content ever? And as opposed to maybe we had an interesting morning keynote, an interesting afternoon keynote, and we sandwich the boring stuff in between. They've all got to be on for it to work for all of our various experiences. So I think that's really upping the game on the kind of content and production that we're all working on here. So yeah, we are in that with. Anyway, so we're gonna sign off, but check out TierPoint.com. Check out the Brave IT event. If you have any questions for Andrew and Mike, how do people reach out to you?
LinkedIn, email. Whatever. I actually, while I'm sitting here talking, I've seen a bunch of pop-ups on my screen. I've been invited to connect. A couple people have registered for Brave IT. So yeah,
good.
Probably the best, easiest way to find us.
This is among the various channels this is running. It is running live on LinkedIn. So find Mike, and we'll put a comment in the stream for both of their LinkedIn profiles. Perfect. Have a great day, guys. Really appreciate the time, and thanks for being members of TechUnited. And we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.